30 seconds, mics are hot. Five seconds, here we go. Good luck, guys.
Only 3 races are left in the chase for the iRacing.com World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series World Championship. And it has come down to just 2 competitors separated by only 5 points. Knoxville, Tennessee's Devin Cardwell has accrued 3 wins, 4 top 5s, and a staggering 163 laps led in his 2020 campaign. But his championship competitor, Dylan Wilson, from Bakersfield, California, has been the most consistent driver thus far, scoring a season-high 5 top 5 finishes and 2 poles. But with no victories quite yet for the Team D1RT driver, he has got some work to do here tonight. And tonight we hit the track at the world-famous Knoxville Raceway, which begins a final stretch of 3 half-mile racetracks in a row to cap off the season. Good Monday evening to all of our live viewers out there, and welcome to Knoxville, Iowa for the 8th race on the iRacing.com World of Outlaws late model schedule. We are live on the iRacing Esports Network. My name is Chase Rodman with Justin Prince here in the broadcast booth, along with Arjuna Kankipati in the production truck. Justin, this is just the first time in 4 races and only the 3rd time all year long that we have made it to a half-mile facility. The rest of the races on quarter-mile racetracks, which is absolutely a 180-degree turnaround from what we are seeing here tonight at the Knoxville Raceway. A big half-mile, and it's going to throw a big curveball for these guys.
Absolutely. Many of the drivers I spoke to in preparation for tonight have said this is the most important stretch for the championship and is going to be the main factor to decide who wins the top prize at the end of the season. During some of those bull rings, we've seen drivers like Devin Cardwell win a few times, James Edens take home a victory at Kokomo, and as well as many others like Lima Lando and Hauser with the victory, with many more scattered in. These final 3 races are going to be difficult because if you don't succeed at the bigger tracks, you are going to struggle to try and battle for championship points and for championship prizes.
And you see there, that was the schedule. Devin Cardwell, the only driver with multiple victories on the year. Let's take a look at the point standings. Devin Cardwell leads with 476, just 5 points over Dylan Wilson, who sits in second. Evan C. is third. He was well in the championship battle up until a late race accident last week at Fairbury took him out. He ended up 19th in the main event, and that's why he is so far down, 50 points out of the championship conversation there. Kendall Tucker fourth, and Devin Morgan currently the top 5. And I would say right now it's between those top 5 guys. If the likes of Cardwell and the likes of Wilson have a mistake here tonight, those guys in the top 5 definitely have a shot at still winning this thing.
When I spoke with Wilson just last week, he mentioned it would be difficult to even keep up with Cardwell despite just being 5 points back because of this talent he has. However, to quote Christopher Leone in today's race preview on the iRacing website, if either driver, Cardwell or Wilson, falters tonight, the door is blown wide open for the rest of the field, especially the rest of that top 5 chase, to have a chance who have also only made 1 or 2 mistakes so far this season.
No doubt about it. Let's take a look at the prizes on the line here for this series. $10,000 will be given away here in just 3 Mondays from now to the champion. Second place, $4,000. Third place, $2,000. And you see the championship winnings all the way down to 10th place in the championship standings. Then you look over on the right side column, $300 to win, $200 for second, and $100 for third in each of the 10 races this season. And I would have to say, so far, Devin Cardwell's probably got the most money out of anybody out of these races.
Especially with victories, absolutely, to try and save things up for the real world side of racing. That means, again, drivers will be fighting a lot tonight. And as we've seen throughout the season with the point structure, the heat points have been very critical. Compared to how things were in the Sprint Car Series, for those watching for the first time for the late models, it's not been a slam dunk for your top points runners to get the top points in the heats. Many have had to go through LCQs this season, including Cardwell several times. That may come into dividends tonight, and if one of the big drivers misses the main event tonight, those feature points are the chance for another contender to join the fray up at the top of the pylon.
Now, no doubt about it, the heat race points are so critical. 8 points to win the heat race, and then first place in the feature is 70 points. Let's take a look at the format, what you're going to be seeing here tonight. If you're watching for the first time on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, you'll be seeing heat races tonight, 4 of them, 8 laps in distance. The top 4 finishers out of each heat race will transfer directly to the 50-lap main event. And after that, the drivers that did not make it out of the heat race will go to a B main event, and those will be 10 laps in distance with just the top 2 finishers transferring on to the feature. The feature race, the A main event, will be 20 drivers, 50 laps long, and at a place like Knoxville, not quite as big as Williams Grove, but at a place like Knoxville, 50 laps is a long, long time for these drivers, especially when the caution laps do not count.
Indeed, but there's a lot of space for these drivers to work around tonight in said races. Again, how this track runs throughout the evening, we're expecting to be very different from the start of the heat races once again to the feature. Some drivers expected by the time we get to the feature, the best line will be towards the top against that Armco fencing. But early on, expect the slider line to come into play as well as the bottom to middle lines. Many drivers on a fresh track chase in many practices have been working on that bottom line next to the berm throughout the entire week for tonight's action with a very cool track.
And Justin, if we take a look at the past results on half-mile racetracks for just this season alone, we take a look back at Volusia Speedway Park. Hayden Cardwell was 7th in that race. That was at Eldora. He was 7th at Eldora Speedway, and Dylan Wilson was 5th. Now we take a look back at Volusia Speedway Park for the very first event of the year. Cardwell was 2nd and Wilson was 4th. Those are pretty decent results, but neither of those drivers have won at a half-mile racetrack, which leads me to believe that possibly we might see another driver pick up their first ever win and really challenge those two guys for the feature win event a little bit later. And we take a look at the qualifying standings right now, and it's Drew Hopkins at the top so far with an 18.291. Actually, he and Tyler Ducharme are at a dead tie at the top of the charts right now.
Remember, Hopkins won that first race of the campaign in what was a massive upset for the rookie driver. But keep an eye on the man currently 3rd on that pylon, Kendall Tucker, in some of the preliminary series in preparation for tonight's main racing event. He was very quick. C was very quick. Remember, the defending race winner back from round 7 in 2019. Also, I think keep an eye on drivers who are currently around the mid-pack in qualifying, like Majulis and several others, to see if they can continue the consistency they had at some of the bigger tracks before we went to the bull rings.
And my oh my, some drama already developing here in qualifying as Dylan Wilson, the driver currently 2nd in the point standings, does not even turn in a qualifying lap here tonight. He will start at the very back of heat race number 3. Meanwhile, Hayden Cardwell, he qualified 9th, and he will be in heat race number 4 later on. Here's the first heat race of the night. And how about it for Drew Hopkins? Haven't really heard about him too much since that win at Volusia Speedway Park. He will be on the pole alongside the 74 car of Adam Elby. Row 2 on the inside, the 311 of Austin Matthews. And outside of him, it's the number 12 car of Alex Bergeron. Row 3 inside, the 1 of Austin Carr, and the 3 car of Shane James to his outside. And your final starter will be the number 44 car of Blake Cannon. He will start from back in 7th position here. 28 drivers made the call here tonight, so just 7 drivers in each heat race, and I believe that will equal out to just 1 B main event later on tonight. But Dylan Wilson, wow, that is exactly what we did not want to see from him here tonight. Does not turn in a qualifying lap.
And when I spoke with him, he was very concerned about this race, in part that, again, depending on how the lines were, that would dictate how this championship could play out for the rest of the campaign. He was happy to be within range coming into tonight, especially as one of the older drivers in the field who has a whole family that he's trying to raise as well on top of that while preparing for these races, and hopes to see his son as well, who is just 3 years old, follow in his footsteps one day. But the big pressure is definitely going to be on absolutely for Wilson to try and keep up once these drivers hit the track for their respective heat races. Give credit, though, to Hopkins, his best qualifying run chase all season.
Yeah, I mean, Drew Hopkins really has not been a championship threat all year long. He was obviously at the very beginning of the year when he won the first race out at Volusia Speedway Park in what you mentioned as one of the biggest upsets I think we've seen in World Championship history here with the dirt stuff. A rookie driver coming in and winning the first race of the season does not happen very often. And now here is Wilson, Hopkins, I should say, starting from the pole. It seems like maybe he likes these half-mile racetracks a little bit more than those tight little bull rings, those quarter-mile racetracks. Hopkins might be a threat here tonight once again.
And remember, he was the bottom field feeder, I should rather say, when we started off the season. And this is a track for the heat race at the very least that is expected to be a bottom feeding racetrack. So when Hopkins is in a great spot to start off tonight's event. How this carries out in the heat, though, and how it carries forward if he's to make the feature race is going to be the bigger question, I think, Chase. We'll have to see how Hopkins adjusts. We've seen him change some of his different lines in some of the races he's made for the features this season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this racetrack wears out. It's one of the most famous racetracks in all of the United States as far as the dirt track racing goes. It's the sprint car capital of the world, and actually this week they are taking place with what was supposed to be the Knoxville Nationals. They're calling it, just the Capitani Classic, so we hope that Knoxville has a good race here this weekend with the sprint cars in real life, as the green flag is out here in the virtual world, and it's going to be the 157 of Drew Hopkins jumping out front in that HRE Motorsports machine. He will lead over Adam Elby in a side-by-side battle for the third spot between Austin Matthews and the 12 car of Alex Bergeron. Bergeron's got the spot down the backstretch.
Bit of contact, though, for the bubble spot. Up the track goes Carr. He weeble wobbles all the way to the back of the line. He's off in still decent positioning, though. 4 far back, still side-by-side. Top 3 running away as Shane James takes the slider line, clips the berm. Able to take away P4 out in the exit of turn 2.
And Shane James looking to make his first feature event of the season. It's been a rough go at it this year for that number 3 car. He makes it by Austin Matthews and tries to drive around him on the outside to take that 4th and final transfer spot away, and he will do so down the front straightaway. But here comes the 44 Blake Cannon, who we have talked to on several occasions throughout the year. Podiums and top 5 finishes for that 44 car. He's up the 5th and now challenging for 4th to the inside in turn 3.
He's looking to try and make up for a rough qualifying performance as James trying to defend. James looking to make one of his first feature races in a long time in this season's competition. His teammate still up in the lead, but still defending the middle line. Cannon following track to tire track down the back straightaway, halfway this time by.
Adam Elby doing a great job up in the second spot, maintaining pace with the 157 car of Drew Hopkins as they work up the front straightaway. 5 laps complete and 4 to go here in heat race number 1. Shane James to the bottom of the racetrack in 1 and 2. Cannon keeps up on the top side. Cannon with a big run down the backstretch. He looks to the outside of Shane James. Race for the transfer spot back into turn number 3.
Side by side as James goes back to the slider line against the berm. Back up the racetrack. Cannon, will he go for the switchback? No. Goes right to the end of the gearbox now. Goes for the slide. Dives into the slider line. Can't make it stick. James up on the top line. Throw it onto the marbles. To hold on the momentum. There's Cannon for the pass with a bump.
Yeah, Shane James got stuck up there with the Cabbage Patch Kids, where you do not want to be in no man's land on the top of the racetrack up in those marbles. He slips back to the 5th spot. The 44 car Blake Cannon will go by and take over the transfer. Back up front, the 12 car of Alex Bergeron trying to track down the 74 of Adam Elby for the 2nd spot. We talk about it every single week. Every spot you can gain here in the heat race is worth 4 spots on the A-main starting grid. So Bergeron trying to track down Adam Elby. And remember, Bergeron is a former winner here at this racetrack with the series last year, so he knows how to get it done here at Knoxville.
Yes, in round 3, white flag is out, though, this time by. Checker flag expected this time by. Hopkins trying to hold on. Bergeron one last send right against the berm of the racetrack. Can't get it done, though. Hopkins, Elby, Bergeron, and Cannon will advance to the feature race, while James, Carr, and Matthews will have to go through the LCQ tonight.
So obviously the track pretty fast still. Everybody kind of hammer down right now. 1 lane, but that will change as iRacing does have a fantastic model for the dynamic track surface. This thing will get slick. It'll make up 2, maybe even 3 grooves later on tonight. So just waiting a couple more laps on this racetrack, and it will be very, very racy. As we see the results there from heat race number 1, we're getting ready for heat race number 2. Here's how they'll line up for this one. It's going to be the number 9 car of Tyler Ducharme on the front row. And next to him, the 112 of Devin Morgan, currently 5th in series standings. Row number 2 on the inside from Santa Rosa, California, the 52 car of James Edens. And outside of him, the 18 of Daniel Cummings Jr. Row 3 on the inside, the 46 of Dylan Rafferty. And to his right, it's the 70 of Devin Cardwell. And your final starter here for heat race number 2 will be the 22 car of Brandon Proudfoot, who's looking to bounce back here this week after making the feature last week at Fairbury, Justin, but speared the catch fence early on in that race, and his night came to an end early. So looking for a rebound here for Brandon Proudfoot.
I was impressed, though, of what Proudfoot was able to do. It was clear he put in a lot of preparation to get some of the speed that he needed to move on to a feature race for that event, and I think he was in a good spot to try at least get a top half of the field finish chase. If that didn't happen, we might be talking about that more so, but his speed was definitely an improvement. But for many of these drivers now, there's still a lot of pressure to try and move on, because Ducharme's been quick throughout the week, Morgan's been quick throughout this whole season, and Edens, he's been quick whenever the bottom is the preferred line as well as the middle line, and he's starting in the bottom line of row 2. The biggest question mark is who gets that 4th and final transfer spot in this race, I think.
Yeah, definitely, but I want to keep an eye on the 112 of Devin Morgan, who does not have a feature win so far on the year, but he is currently tied with second place for most top 5s on the year with your points leader, Hayden Cardwell. Morgan currently sits 5th in the standings, about 70-ish points out of the lead, and I think if he can win this heat race, I think Devin Morgan will have a great shot to maybe pick up his first win of the season here tonight in Knoxville. He's going to have to battle with the 9 of Tyler Ducharme, though, to do so. The green flag is out. Ducharme's on it early. He'll get clear of Morgan, and now Morgan have to deal with the 52 car of James Edens on the inside back into turn 1.
Ducharme preferring the higher line, trying to go to the marbles, spread out the line. Edens trying to go for the slider, ready for second. Morgan forced to back off the gas. A little bit of contact for second. Morgan goes to the berm. He tries to run the bottom. Edens tries to run the top as Cummings Jr. still holds on to P4 at the end of lap 1.
Devin Morgan very good on the bottom. He'll throw a slider on James Edens up across the nose. Edens taps the brake, turns it back down to the inside. Great move right there by Devin Morgan. James Edens shoots back to the inside, back into turn 3. Edens will drive it in. He'll run the bottom of the racetrack, but Morgan, with that momentum on the high side, he'll have second down the front straightaway.
Still side by side as the outside warrior tries to hold on. Edens now goes for the slide. Slider line near contact as Morgan crosses him over. Better momentum down the back straightaway, squeezes Edens. Hard charge by Morgan to secure second. Can't get back exactly to the line for Edens, but does hold on as Edens backs off. Cummings Jr. though, he's on now in the back bumper of Edens. Coming to 4 to go this time.
This great battle for the second spot is allowing the 9 of Tyler Ducharme to put a little distance between himself and that battle for second. He's out to a 5-car length lead as Edens takes a peek to the inside of Devin Morgan for the second spot. Can't quite make it happen. That might open the door for the 18 of Cummings Jr. down the front straightaway. He'll take a look to the inside. Nope. He'll fall back to the outside of the racetrack here with James Edens. And that 18 car looks pretty good right now as he's all over the 52 car down the back straightaway.
Still a lot of pressure for Morgan in the back end right now as Edens goes a little bit higher up in 3 and 4 this time. Cummings trying a bit of a lower line. Nearly hits the back end of Edens. Still single file for the top 4. They've now pulled away by nearly half a second for the battle for 5th, as those drivers are still 3 wide fighting, all while these drivers are in calm, cool, and collected position coming to 2 to go.
Lap times in the 18.5 second bracket last time by Tyler Ducharme at 18.550 to Devin Morgan's 18.541. White flag is coming out this next time by across the line. Look at Morgan. He nearly tank slaps that thing off the wall right there. Hangs on a second, almost opens the door up for James Edens. They'll come to the white flag this time by, and Morgan trying the extreme highlight, 3 wide for second off of turn number 4.
Cummings looking for one of his best starting positions for a feature race this season, right against the berm, hits the bump hard, he slides up, just avoids Edens as they go back 2 wide down the backstretch. Morgan in a good spot into 3.
Now Edens tries to make one last ditch effort to the inside. It's not going to happen. Your race winner will be the number 9 car of Tyler Ducharme. The 112 of Devin Morgan second. Third to the 52 car of James Edens. Fourth goes to the 18 of Daniel Cummings Jr. And then behind those drivers that will go to the B-main event, it'll be the 46 of Dylan Rafferty, the 22 of Brandon Proudfoot, and the 70 of Devin Cardwell as we get set to go for heat race number 3, and a very stacked heat race number 3, if I do say so myself. The 00 of Kendall Tucker, currently 4th in standings, in the series standings, I should say, will be on the pole alongside the 23 of Casey Kerwin. Row 2, the 0 of Kevin Dedman, and outside of him, the defending series champion, the 127 of Blake Majulis. Row 3, the 25 of Zach McSwain, McSwain, who led a lot of laps last week at Fairbury. And on his outside, the 2018 Series champion, Zach Leonhardi. And your final starter, got to keep an eye on this guy, currently second in series points. The 80 of Dylan Wilson is going to have to try and fight his way through what is one of the most stacked heat races we've seen all season long.
And it's similar to what we've seen in the first half of the season in a couple of the races in rounds 3 and 4, where it seemed like a constant theme, and LCQs, mind you, at that time. So for Wilson, he needs to get by these cars as quick as possible, because as we've seen, when everyone was fighting 2-3 wide for 5th on back, they lost so much time that it took until the last lap, last corner, for anyone in that group to even try a slide job. There was a bit of contact, should note, between Cummings Jr. and Devin Cardwell for that 4th spot, but Cardwell spun around, and the man who held on to 4th and Cummings Jr. still was able to keep it straight and keep that spot by 3 car lengths. Might see the same tonight here in this heat.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. Especially when you get this caliber of drivers, I should say, in this heat race. We've got 2 defending series champions in it. We've got Kendall Tucker, who's been a championship threat the last 2 years with the series. Casey Kerwin, if you're familiar with iRacing, you know that he drives in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. Kevin Dedman last year was 5th in series standings. And then Zach McSwain, who's been on a hot streak lately, led a lot of laps last week at Fairbury, currently 7th in the point standings. This is exactly what Dylan Wilson did not want to happen. I don't think he woke up this morning and thought, hey, I'm going to start 7th in heat race number 3 tonight with all of these drivers. He has got his work cut out for him here in this one.
This is not going to be easy, absolutely, especially remember McSwain was very fast last week. Majulis is always very quick. Dedman, he'll do everything he can to make a feature race. And you have the rising speed of Kerwin and Tucker. This is about to be a fun one. Green flag is out.
Green flag is out. Great start for Kendall Tucker. He'll jump out with the race lead. Casey Kerwin to the inside, or sorry, to the outside. Here comes Kevin Dedman down on the bottom of the racetrack as he's got a challenge on the outside from Blake Majulis. They work down the back straightaway. Majulis is up to 4th. And now McSwain, look at Wilson back there trying to get by Zach Leonhardi for about the 6th spot.
Already a bit of contact in the grouping. Wilson hit the door of McSwain at the end of the first lap. Now back 3 wide for the back of the field. 3 wide for the bubble spots. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. McSwain backs off. Dedman moves up to the top. Kerwin now tries to run away as McSwain sends it hard against the berm of the racetrack. He tries to slide to the middle line. Kerwin over-rotates. Dedman hits the back of him. Check up behind his Majulis is all over the place.
Yeah, Majulis gets hit by the 80 car of Wilson, who slides in front of Kevin Dedman to make contact. Dedman's into the wall. And a great move right there to put himself into transfer position for the 80 of Dylan Wilson. And he had to do everything he had to do right there to get that done. He still has 5 laps to hang on to that thing. But Wilson, do you blame him at all right there, Justin? He's doing exactly what he needs to do here.
Yeah, he cannot afford to be patient for these spots when you're fighting for a championship. He needs to be able to advance into the future with the best track position possible to compete for said championship. And now that the racing side by side behind, he's in a good spot. 4 laps to go. Leonhardi and Dedman busy fighting for 5th. Majulis is also now in the wall.
And Wilson's not done yet, man. He's coming after Casey Kerwin down the backstretch. He's trying to get up into that 3rd spot as Kevin Dedman makes a move to the inside of Zach Leonhardi back there for 5th. Dedman on the bottom of the 24 car of Leonhardi on the outside. He'll clear him down the front straightaway. But back up front, the 80 car of Wilson last time by was a 10th faster than Casey Kerwin. With 3 laps to go, he's got to get every spot he can get here.
Coming at 2 to go now as the track's really slickening up, especially towards that bottom line on entry, middle line throughout the corner apex and corner off. Kerwin loses a bit more track to McSwain. Wilson now uses a slick, runs right against the berm, runs right against the bumps. He talked about how difficult it can be to avoid said bumps on the slider line. That loses the momentum coming towards the white flag this time.
Kerwin slips up on the exit of turn 4. Wilson to the inside, gets to the left rear tire, but cannot quite make the pass. White flag is out for the 0-0 of Kendall Tucker. Wilson all over the infield berm into turn 1, trying to do everything he can to get by Casey Kerwin. Kerwin runs away and hides down the back straightaway, and it looks like Wilson is going to have to settle for 4th here as McSwain makes one last-ditch effort to the inside of Kendall Tucker for the race lead, but Tucker's going to get the win. It's going to be Zach McSwain in 2nd, Casey Kerwin 3rd. Dylan Wilson will start way back in 15th here tonight. And then behind him, it was the 24 of Zach Leonhardi, the 0 of Kevin Dedman, and Blake Majulis, a surprising 7th, 2 laps down. He's going to have to come out of the B main event later on tonight as we get ready for our 4th and final heat race of the night. which will feature the 2 drivers in the top 3 in points, the 33 of Evan C. and the current series point leader, the 07 of Hayden Cardwell. Row 2, the 49 of Joel Berkeley, and outside him, the 14 of J.D. Brown. Row 3, the 2 of Dylan Hauser, and the 6 of C.J. Phillips. And your final starter will be the 00 of Jacob Fields. But taking a look at that starting grid right there, I see a lot of slick SimSport drivers, which may play into the hand of the 07 of Hayden Cardwell right here, JP.
I think so too, absolutely, and that's usually when we see him perform a lot to make a lot of these feature races. And I think they know that they're going to be important, or should I rather say, it's going to be important for Cardwell to stay in front of them. So I expect a bit of give and take from them, at least in this race, especially since the focus, I think, for them is going to be, will it be Berkeley, Brown, or Hauser who gets in from that grouping? I think Cardwell's in a good spot for this race to gain a couple more points heading to the feature race if he can just keep the car clean and run his own race here. By the way, one driver missed the start. Fields doesn't make it to the grid.
Yeah, the 007 who is supposed to start in 7th, Jacob Fields, is not in the race server, so he does not make the grid here for this final heat race of the night. And we get ready as we come to green this time by, and they're working their way down the backstretch, excuse me. The 33 of Evan C. will lead the field to green. And remember, C, who after last week has fallen a 50-point gap back to Hayden Cardwell, he's not out of this thing quite yet. We never know what can happen here in these races, as we've seen all season long. So Evan C. cannot give up. He's only 50 points behind. Dylan Wilson, he's already had a bad night, and we'll see if he can gain some more points on Hayden Cardwell as C's on the gas, and he pulls away a little bit from the 07 of Hayden Cardwell down the front stretch into turn 1 for the first time.
Good launch for all the drivers as Berkeley goes right to the bottom side. Everyone else up to the top so far. Brown trying to carry momentum. Nearly takes away P3. Berkeley keeps the activity alive though in the 49 machine. Still slides along the berm, but JD Hollywood Brown up to 3rd. End of the first lap. Here comes Hauser for the bubble.
I'm not expecting too many battles for the second spot with teammates there. Hayden Cardwell, J.D. Brown, Joel Berkeley. Those drivers are probably going to play it pretty safe here as Dylan Hauser works to the outside of Joel Berkeley down the front straightaway. That's the battle for the 4th spot. Hauser on the top, the 49 of Berkeley on the bottom. Hauser, who's had a rough couple last weeks here after that big win at Limaland. He works to the outside of Berkeley. He's got the transfer spot, but nearly tags wall in turn 1.
And Hauser, the first driver to go all the way up to the edge of the Armco barriers, in 1 and 2 especially, trying to work that line in. Everybody else has not gone there by about a couple car lengths. Berkeley's now falling behind, though. Has to deal with C.J. Phillips as they nearly make contact for 5th, all while the 2 car runs off and away. Fastest lap that time by, though, was by Cardwell.
Cardwell all over the 33 of Evan C. down the backstretch into turn number 3. He looks to the inside off of turn number 4, but Evan C. still has that spot. Last time by 18:57 for Cardwell, 18:58 for Evan C. And that time by Cardwell once again a little bit faster. He's running up way 4 in the fluff right there, entering turn 1, and then tries to turn it down to the bottom of the racetrack on the exit of the corner. He closes in on Evan C. Pulls up next to him into turn number 3, but C. still has the lead as they work to lap number 6 this time by.
Teammates, though, behind them from Slick SimSport have been going back and forth. Hauser and Brown have slide jumped their way back and forth for 3rd spot. Hauser still prefers the cushion. Bottom line so far for J.D. Brown at the moment. These 2 drivers are in 10th and 11th in the point standings. Remember, top 15, locked yourself into next season pending eligibility. So this is important for them to fight for points like this in a heat race such as this coming to the white flag.
Battle for the race lead. Cardwell all over C down the back straightaway. Cardwell to the top of the racetrack here in turn number 3. He tags the wall a little bit. He's got to run down the front straightaway. Battle for the race lead. Oh, contact. Cardwell into the wall hard down the front straightaway. The white flag is out. Cardwell's not happy with Evan C.
Cardwell now tries to go for the slide. Nearly hits the back in a C. Temper still flaring. Hauser gets it back off from behind to hold on to 3rd. Cardwell not close enough to try and send it. Checker flag this time by Evan C. Wins heat race 4. Cardwell with damage in 2nd. Hauser and Brown move on while Phillips and Berkeley will have to go through the LCQ. Fields did not start.
And now that was big contact right there for Hayden Cardwell. We've heard these drivers over the last couple weeks there, JP, talk about the damage that gets sustained to these cars, the back end, that spoiler, can really affect their speed. If that was to happen to Cardwell early in the feature, he would be at such a big disadvantage. He's lucky that happened in the heat race right there.
Yeah, you can get away with a bit of the minor stuff, it seems, Chase, as we've seen throughout the season, but the hard hits, like right what we've seen coming to the white flag, That's where you lose about a few tenths a lap, give or take, in terms of pace, and it affects how you can rotate in the corner. He's lucky absolutely here at this point. We'll have to see, though, how these qualifiers go. As you talked about, with the field size tonight, just one LCQ this evening, meaning it's about to get wild with 4 transfer spots on the line with a lot of fast competitors.
I'm sorry, but I love 1B main. This is how it should be, I think, every single week. 12 drivers here going for 4 spots. Shane James is on the pole. Outside of him, the 46 car of Dylan Rafferty. Row 2 on the inside, the 24 of Zach Leonhardy. And outside of him is the 6 of CJ Phillips. Row 3, the 1 of Austin Carr. And outside the 22 of Brandon Proudfoot. Row 4, it's Kevin Dedman and Joel Berkeley. Row number 5, you'll see Austin Matthews and Devin Cardwell. Row 6, the 127 of Blake Majulis and the 007 of Jacob Fields. So Majulis has got to be the story in this one, the defending series champion who won the last time we were at a half mile at Eldora. He's got to come from 11th up to 4th here.
Yeah, this is going to be extremely difficult, again, with more cars to try and fight with. And as we've seen, it's been a dogfight in a lot of these LCQs in 2020 in this series. It's not going to be very easy. I think Majulis might have the car to get through much of this field here. It's the matter of, can he do it without smacking the wall again, which led to him going down the pit lane? And will there be trouble in front of him around that transfer spot with things expected to get crazy here? It's to the point where they're already running each other over.
Gotta love that little contact here on the grid, and we have received word that tonight's warm-up session before the A main will be the full 5 minutes, meaning that this racetrack is going to be extremely slick come feature event time, which is always fun here at the Knoxville Raceway. So, wow, I can't wait to see what happens here in this B-main event. Green flag is out, 10 laps, top 4 of the feature. Shane James trying to make his first A-main event of the year, jumps out front with the race lead.
Great launch for him, but Leonhardy with the major slide for second. Dylan Rafferty tries to cross him up, tries to carry momentum down to the slider line just before the load the slick. Makes it stick through the tacky stuff. He's now up to second. 3 wide nearly for third as Leonhardy's forced to check out Phillips currently in fourth.
And Leonhardy's going to throw another slider on. Dylan Rafferty takes the second spot momentarily. The 46 back to the inside, down the front straightaway. Might make some contact here, and they do into turn 1. Rafferty once again throws a big slider on him into turn number 1. Rafferty back to second. Now Leonhardy fighting with the 0 of Dedman, who's also fighting with the 6 of CJ Phillips. That's the battle for the final transfer spot back into turn 1.
8 laps to go that time by as Rafferty currently in second. Dedman, though, still side by side. Leonhardy, better momentum.
Oh.
Contact. Dedman nearly loses it. Phillips now tries to go side by side. Here comes Proudfoot as 3 cars. Make it 5 now. Fight under a blanket. Move Devin Cardwell into the 3-wide fight.
They're trying to go 4 wide for the 5th spot. Now here comes Proudfoot. Big move into turn 1. He feeds the wheel of the 24 Leonhardy. Moves him out of the way. Proudfoot's up to 4th. I'm not sure if he's going to make many friends after that one, but now he's got his hands full with the 0 of Dedman. But what a move. Here comes Devin Cardwell on the bottom, 3 wide for 4th off of turn number 4.
And the temper's definitely flaring. Dedman weeble wobbles and holds onto it. Devin Cardwell with the slide. Here comes Leonhardy. Huge hit back.
My.
There's the payback. Proudfoot against the Armco. Dedman nearly spins. Majulis upside down. Car spins out. 3 cars in trouble down the back.
Holy cow, we saw the tempers flare in the real world, World of Outlaws 3 Model Series last weekend, and it's going to happen here in the virtual world as well. As Leonhardy puts the 22 up on top of the catch fence there, we've still got 4 laps to go, and the battle for the transfer is not over yet. CJ Phillips and Joel Berkeley go at it now.
Yeah, this is for the final bubble spot, and Phillips does have a bit of that damage. Here's the crossover back, and now he gets ran over. Berkeley able to stick it. Leonhardy gets hit. Dedman's in it. The rest of the drivers behind are in it.
What in the world are we witnessing here in this one as Joel Berkeley is now in the final transfer spot back up front? We might have a race for the lead by the end of this thing. We got 3 lanes of race. We're trying to go 3 wide up front. James on the top side, Rafferty through the middle, and Devin Cardwell, who started way back in 10th place, is now looking to the inside for second with 2 laps to go.
Looking for great track position, coming to that 2 laps to go mark. Rafferty had to check up, lock James in, he taps the wall. Devin Cardwell slides to the bottom. James trying to lock himself in the feature in a great spot. Cardwell, though, able to get good momentum, nearly clears Rafferty. He now goes for the race lead with a massive slide coming to the white.
And Devin Cardwell from 10th place is now taking the race lead. We're trying to go 3 wide for the race lead down the front straightaway. Shane James leads the lap. We're coming to the checker this time by. Contact right there between Cardwell and Rafferty. Final trip down the back straightaway. What does Shane James do? He goes back to the top, Cardwell to the bottom. Might be a drag race to the finish line here. In the B main event off of turn number 4, it's going to be Shane James by inches at the line. And he will make it into his first feature event of the season in the HRE Motorsports number 3, with Devin Cardwell coming 10th to 2nd, Rafferty 3rd, and Joel Berkeley will finish up 4th in one of the wildest B-main events we've seen all season long, JP.
What did I say? If it got crazy in the mid-pack, things would get interesting. Well, things got a little bit crazier than we expected in that. Leon Hardy was still able to survive to make the checker flag, but that damage definitely slowed him down from several hits. Matthews had severe damage. Majulis was severe damage. Phillips, Deadman, Proudfoot are definitely not going to be happy, as well as the rest of the field after that one. Lots of tempers in that one, as Carr also did not finish, with Fields not even starting that one. Wow, just wow.
There's going to be some virtual fistfights after that one between Brandon Proudfoot and Zach Leon Hardy. My goodness gracious. We are ready for our short break, though. The drivers getting 5 minutes here to burn the track in, make final adjustments to their race cars before we go green for 50 laps around the Knoxville Raceway. We'll be right back here on the iRacing Esports Network. Don't go anywhere. We are back here at what is known as the sprint car capital of the world, but tonight we've got the fenders on. We're racing the iRacing.com World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model World Championship Series, and we just witnessed one of the most unbelievable B-main events we've seen all season long, and the drivers are midway through their 5-minute warm-up session. JP, we've got the field set. We're ready for 50 laps. What are you expecting out of this one tonight?
I'm seeing a bit of aggression, or expecting that at the very least tonight, with some of the moves needed to try and win this race. But at the same time, I'm expecting a lot of the top drivers to try and keep their cars on the clean side and not try and get too contested. Keep in mind, Hayden Cardwell, Dylan Wilson will both have to start around the mid-pack. Cardwell in P8, Wilson in P15, with a 7-point difference now in the championship unofficially after the heat points. Things are about to get interesting here to see how things fare for them and how much give and take some of the competitors try and give them, while others try and catch up and close up the 50-point gap from first to third.
With everything we saw in that B-main event right there, this could be a scenario. We've got the drivers 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the series standings in front of Cardwell and Wilson. Devin Morgan starts 6th, Evan C. 4th, Kendall Tucker 3rd. If something were to happen here tonight to Tucker or Wilson, and those 3 competitors finish inside the top 5, we might be seeing a 5-car race for the championship heading into next week's race at Williams Grove Speedway for the penultimate round. That is definitely something that we could see here tonight, JP. So far tonight in Knoxville, and with how the racetrack is developing here, with this 5-minute warm-up session, with how slick it's going to be, something crazy could happen to your championship leaders here.
Yeah, the top line is the preferred line, yes, as we've seen, but as Dylan Wilson correctly predicted, the slider line may be the deciding factor on who wins the feature race. and who feels bold enough to try and use it, because you have to set up your car right to be able to handle the bump while making sure you don't hit it too hard and the handle said slide. We've seen several drivers do it cleanly. A couple of the drivers had a bit of tackiness trying to battle with said bumps. This could be intriguing to see who can adapt the best now to this track, and how drivers say Drew Hopkins, Dylan Wilson, and others who are known for being bottom feeders can gain momentum with that top line down the back being really, really quick for momentum.
Yeah, you know, I'm watching right now as they are doing the warm-up session, and the 157 of Drew Hopkins, he is, he was pinned at the bottom of the racetrack in 1 and 2, and I think that might be where that 157 car stays all night long, like we saw him win at Volusia Speedway Park. As we get ready for the feature event lineup, the drivers getting a few more seconds here on track before we turn it over to the race session. And here we go. Let's get ready for the starting lineup for tonight's 8th race on the calendar. 3 to go here for the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series. Here's how they'll line up tonight in Knoxville. The 157 of Drew Hopkins will be on the pole, and to his right, the number 9 of Tyler Ducharme. Row 2 on the inside, the 00 of Kendall Tucker, and outside of him, the 33 of Evan C. Starting 5th from Tracy, California, the 74 of Adam Elby, and it was outside the 112 of Devin Morgan. Row number 4 on the inside, it will be the 25 of Zach McSwain, and it was outside the current series point leader from Knoxville, Tennessee, the 07 of Hayden Cardwell. Row 5 on the inside, the 2-time and defending NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series champion, the 12 of Alex Bergeron, and to his right, the 52 car of James Edens. He's from Santa Rosa, California. Row 6 on the inside, the 23 of Casey Kerwin, and outside of him from Ocala, Florida, the number 2 of Dylan Hauser. Row 7 on the inside, 13th starter, the 44 of Blake Cannon, and outside of him, the 18 of Daniel Cummings Jr. Row 8 on the inside, the D1RT number 80 car, Dylan Wilson out of Bakersfield, currently 2nd in the point standings. He's got a lot of work to do, starting way back in the 15th spot. 14 of J.D. Brown will be as it was outside. Row 9 making his first feature start of the year, the 3 of Shane James, and outside of him, the 70 of Devin Cardwell. Row 10, the 46 of Dylan Rafferty, and the 49 of Joel Berkeley will round out the field for this one. This is shaping up to be a fantastic race, and we haven't even went green yet there, JP.
Yeah, this is going to be absolutely intriguing and very fun, important for the championship for obvious reasons. Honestly, I think, based on some of the track positioning, the best drivers who are in position to try and win this race, in my opinion, are drivers like Tucker, like C, like Morgan, who are up towards the front and have showed great pace throughout the night so far. I think there are the drivers to watch. Also, don't forget once again about Hayden Cardwell and the speed he showed in this heat race. And as well, if the others who are known for having to have the bottom be the preferred line can adapt well enough, put those drivers up in the mix, you could have at least 10 drivers who can win this race.
No doubt about it. We might see another first-time winner here in the 2020 campaign. As we get ready for the green flag, not this time by, but the next time by. Actually, are we on the backstretch? We are on the backstretch. We're coming to green this time by. For the 157 of Drew Hopkins and the 9 of Tyler Ducharme, who has a lot of laps led in World Championship Series competition, we are getting ready for round number 8 of the iRacing.com World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series. Green flag is out off of turn number 4. We're underway here at Knoxville.
Already bully ball for second on back, though. Tucker already door. Ducharme 3 wide for second. C now gives the door to Ducharme. Everyone feeds the door to the 9. He's back to P4, so 3 wide down the back stretch. Most of the drivers going down along that berm, but Hopkins trying the top line. Tucker trying to take second at the end of lap 1.
And he will do so. Kendall Tucker's up to the second spot. Drew Hopkins, we talked about it there in the pre-race show. We don't think we'll see him go to the top of the racetrack unless the circumstances are that here. He goes back to the bottom here in 3-4, actually the middle of the speedway here, so it seems like maybe bottom 1 and 2 and kind of slider line 3 and 4 as Kendall Tucker looks to the inside for the race lead down the front straightaway. Might see a slider for the lead. Nope, Tucker tries to roll him out by Drew Hopkins.
That's all while Hayden Cardwell still stuck in the traffic. Kendall Tucker now takes the race lead down the back straightaway. He's cleared by a car length. Ducharme's now found a line down the bottom side. C prefers the middle. Hopkins trying nearly up to the cushion as they're 3 wide again for second. Hopkins holds them off for now. C nearly makes contact. They slow up a little bit as Ducharme still battles. All while Hayden Cardwell just passed 2 cars in 2 corners.
Yep, Cardwell's now up to the 6th spot, looking at the inside of Devin Morgan. Cardwell trying to throw a slider on the 112 car. Not going to happen quite yet. The 112 will have the momentum on the high side to maintain the 5th spot. Maybe at the line. Nope, Cardwell's now up to 5th as they're 3 wide for 2nd up here. Ducharme on the bottom, C through the middle, and the 157 of Hopkins on the top side. Meanwhile, the 00 of Kendall Tucker is driving away with the race lead. He's got a half-second advantage over the rest of the field.
That's what he did in some of the test races throughout the week in some of the various different leagues. Showed great pace on the long run, the more laps returned on this racetrack. But Hayden Cardwell's now in that mix we were talking about for 2nd on back, right behind his teammate Ducharme on the bottom. Hopkins still trying that bottom to top line in 3 and 4, all while C still tries near the cushion. Momentum carries C nearly past Ducharme as they're 3 wide again for 2nd.
Update on Dylan Wilson. He's up to the 12th spot after starting 15th, slowly making his way up to the front of the field. Still a great race for this 3rd spot. Here comes Cardwell to the inside of Ducharme, to the inside of to the 33 of Evan C. And now Cardwell's up to 4th, looking for more as he goes down to the contact behind. LB, Morgan, and C all into the fence down the front straight, and upside down goes Evan C.
Caution flag is out as C gets back on his wheels, and there's going to be a few tempers from that one. Really, he can start all the way from turn 3 where Tyler Ducharme fed the door to Evan C to allow his teammate, who remember is in the championship fight, to get a better run on the bottom side. Then things just seemed to bottle up from that point onward, Chase, and things got crazy by turn 1.
Yeah, here's the replay of it right here. You see they go 3 wide down the front stretch. They run out of racing room down here. C gets hit right here by Alex Bergeron, who was just running his line after the 33 of C hit the wall, tried coming back down the racetrack. He got hit just right in that left side to tip him right over, but he keeps on going. But Evan C is going to have some serious damage to that race car. Let's reset the top 5 here. Your race leader is Kendall Tucker. 2nd is Drew Hopkins. 3rd is Tyler Ducharme. 4th is Hayden Cardwell. And in his best run of the season, the 74 of Adam Elby is currently in 5th. 6th is Devin Morgan. 7th is Zach McSwain. 8th is Alex Bergeron. Then James Edens is in 9th, and Dylan Hauser currently in 10th. As there is definitely some hurt feelings here in the driver chat there, JP.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with some of the ramifications there, because essentially C needed a perfect race to try and keep himself within range. Now he's going to have to deal with a very damaged race car. He's still not out of it, but his back spoiler is severely damaged. He might have some possible air damage from flipping upside down in his machine. It might be trouble for the 33 machine, to say the very least. A lot of discussions may take place after that race. Should note, by the way, there is that technical lines touch upon for some of the drivers with Swindell Speed Labs and SimSport. The 74 is Swindell.
He sure is, and he will line up 1 lane on the inside behind the 07 of Hayden Cardwell here as we get ready to come back to the green flag. 8 laps are complete, still a lot of time left in this one. 42 laps to go here tonight from Knoxville, and the 00 of Kendall Tucker has got to be thinking, what can go wrong this time? He's led so many laps and has been so close so many times. Can tonight be the night here at Knoxville Raceway for Kendall Tucker? We'll find out in 42 laps. Green flag is back in the air. A great start up front for the 00.
Kendall Tucker trying to hold on for now. Already Ducharme up to the bottom side. Hit a bit of the berm, though. Cardwell gives him the squeeze, and Hayden Cardwell shot from a rocket. Now side by side for 2nd. Hopkins trying the middle line again. Cardwell's been really quick on corner exit all night so far. Nearly clears himself for 2nd down the front straightaway.
Yeah, Cardwell really liking the bottom of the speedway. Now tries the middle here in 1 and 2. Hopkins still up on the top shelf in the 157 now. Cardwell's going to get clear of him off at turn number 2. Cardwell up to 2nd, gets a shot from behind, and now Hopkins drives it in deep into the corner right there. I thought there was going to be some contact, and there still might be off a turn for Hopkins, not letting him go by easy right there.
Back single file, though, this time. Hopkins now tries to cushion. Lots of lost momentum, though. He's hit by Ducharme. They make more contact. McSwain hit by Ducharme. They're still bouncing off each other 4 wide. Still trying to save it, and Hopkins now spins for the caution.
And Hopkins had a great run going there, and things come to an end for that 157 as he was running 3rd there, led a couple laps at the start, and he is now out of this thing. As we take a look at the replay right here, JP, hard racing right here through turn 1 and 2, down the backstretch, and then what happens here?
Yeah, you're going to see it right here. Just didn't get a good run on corner entry for that cushion. Everyone else just bottled up into him. I think they're expecting him to carry more speed, obviously, and then it's just like a pin pawn. He was trying to go back and forth, trying to save that car. One to hit too many. Around goes the 157 for the caution.
And how about a great run tonight for Shane James? He is currently from 17th place. He's up to about 11th now, maybe even 10th for the 3 car after making his first A-main of the year. So a great run for him. Want to give him a shout out there, the 3 of Shane James out of Lawrenceburg, Indiana, as we get ready to come back to the green flag once again. I think this is still going to be a double foul restart, and it's going to line the 07 of Hayden Cardwell up on the outside of Kendall Tucker. You talked about that technical alliance between Swindell Speed Lab and Slick Simsport, and that's 2 drivers right there from those 2 teams, Tucker and Cardwell. But I don't think Tucker is going to be playing too nice here. He wants to win that first race. He's not going to give up easy here for that 07 of Cardwell.
Especially with finishing second in the last race as well, because think of it this way. Cardwell right now, he can be happy where he's at right now if he wants to be, because still, his best competition, Wilson's all the way back in about 12th spot. As long as Wilson stays back there, he's got a big enough buffer to be able to be more calmer for the final couple rounds. For Kendall Tucker, with him still looking for his first victory in the series and this season, with how close he was last week, I think he isn't going to make it quite as easy for the lead compared to some of the others who have been given a bit of space in some of the battles behind.
And we got to remember that Tucker came in tonight just, 56 points out of the championship lead. So he's got to try and go for everything here. Not a good start at all right there for the 07 of Hayden Cardwell as Tucker gets away, and Tyler Ducharme challenges on the inside as we race through 1 and 2. 3 wide back here for 4th between Alex Bergeron, Devin Morgan, and the 2 of Dylan Hauser. Still 3 wide down the back straightaway. Great racing back here for 4th. Oh!
And there's some of the tempers from some of the past races boiling over there. Another hit between Hauser and Bergeron in these races. It's boiled into league races before, mind you. They're now back on the top line. That's lost them several spots and allowed Devin Morgan now to run the bottom line. Still side by side with Ducharme. Remember the 9 with severe spoiler damage from some of those hits before the caution.
And look who's now creeping into the picture. More contact now between Hauser and Ducharme. They get together, and now Dylan Wilson is up to 6th. Wilson from 15th to 6th now as Ducharme gets shuffled out of the mix there. And now Wilson to the outside of Alex Bergeron. He's about to crack into the top 5 once again for the 80 car Wilson.
This worked perfectly for Wilson to take advantage and keep his car clean. Very little damage on the D1 RT racing machine as he's now up inside the top 4. But the pressure is on for the race lead as contact. Wilson gets spun.
He gets turned around by the 2 of Dylan Hauser. We're going to have to take a look at the replay there. I believe Hauser may have got hit by the 12 of Bergeron on corner entry, and it put the 2 right into the left rear of Dylan Wilson, which will now shuffle Wilson all the way to the back of the field. Here's the replay, JP.
Yeah, and this is another teammate with Cardwell. This is not going to be a popular one. Right there, Hauser pin-pawns right off Bergeron, trying to take a 3, hooks the 80. He gets hit by James, who has nowhere to go. This is not going to be a popular decision from that pass for Hauser, let's put it that way.
And, you know, I like Dylan Hauser. I'm not saying I don't like him, but he is a driver that does get into quite a few incidents throughout the year. He's got a lot of people that don't appreciate his driving style on the racetrack there. I know he did make contact there with Alex Bergeron, but at this point in time, if I'm Dylan Wilson, he's probably got steam coming out of his ears right now. He started 15th and was up to 4th and was tracking down those guys up front, and now he'll restart all the way back in 18th. Wilson is not going to be happy at all right there with the move from Dylan Hauser.
Absolutely, and he's also got significant damage to the spoiler as well. But on the bright side, if you're Kendall Tucker, get a chance to reset, try and control the field, try and hold on to the race lead a little bit more because Hayden Cardwell was right up the back end of his race car before that caution flag. This could be fun still up at the race lead, have to say, despite all the craziness that's now happened amongst some of the fellow teammates and technical alliance mates who are in this fight.
Yeah, and a lot of the top 5 in the championship standings have been taken out of this race. Wilson and C have both been involved in an accident. It's really between Tucker, Morgan, and Cardwell. All of those drivers run inside the top. Actually, they're the top 3. It's Tucker, Cardwell, and Morgan, the top 3. Behind them, Alex Bergeron is 4th, and Zach McSwain is in the 5th spot. As we take a look here, and it looks like and then behind them, Blake Cannon, James Edens, J.D. Brown, and Adam Elby currently the top 10. Coming back to the green this time by single file restart, contact between your top 2 right there. And it's going to stack up the field behind them.
Tucker able to still recover to get a great launch. Here comes Morgan, though, trying the middle to bottom line. Linton trying to be carried by Hayden Cardwell right against the cushion. So is Bergeron with the same thing. As now a technical issue for the time being for one of your top points leaders. We'll see if that factors in.
This could be huge right now. We have seen this in the past with the 07 of Hayden Cardwell. He has just lost connection for a moment from the online server. He was running second, and now he has dropped connection for a full lap here, Justin, and he is not inside the top 10 anymore. This is a huge moment in the championship right here.
And that may be Wilson's saving grace right there, and his chance to take the points lead back. Unbelievable. And what was it just discussed at the top of the broadcast, and Christopher Leone said it himself. Anything happened to those two drivers, everyone else comes back in. We just had that moment where everyone else can now come back into the championship fight because of that, as Bergeron still holds on to third. McSwain still in a good fight, though, with Blake Cannon for fourth.
And Hayden Cardwell will be shuffled down to the 19th spot, and he has not come back yet. This is absolutely the biggest turnaround in the championship I have ever seen here. Cardwell will absolutely 100% fall down multiple spots in the championship here as Tucker and Morgan run 1-2 up front. They are nose to tail making their way through 1 and 2. Back behind, a great race for third between the 12 of Alex Bergeron, the 44 of Cannon, and the 52 car of James Edens. A great race for third. Slider right there. Give it to Blake Cannon off at turn number 4.
Oh, well, the top two are still single followed out, and Cannon trying to now hold on for Swindell Speed Lab. His teammate now tries to slide jump underneath. Bergeron running along the bottom side. Bergeron provides pressure. No. Edens tries to carry the momentum. Gives the squeeze this time. Back towards the Strider line once again. Not big slide up the racetrack, though. Preferring that bottom line, as we've seen several times this season for Edens. Not able to get clear quite yet for P4, but in a great spot to do so as they're back 3 wide, and the change for the race lead is taking place up front.
Yep, Devin Morgan looking to the outside. Couldn't quite make the pass on the 0-0 of Kendall Tucker. Both of these drivers, mind you, looking for their first ever World Championship Series victory. Down the front straightaway, still not even halfway through this race yet. Kendall Tucker back to the bottom. Devin Morgan to the top side. Morgan with a big run here through 1 and 2. Down the back straightaway. They're nose to tail down the backstretch into turn 3. A great race up front. They have nearly a second and a half over the rest of the field as Blake Cannon's up to third, James Edens fourth, and Alex Bergeron's in fifth.
Still single file amongst those drivers, but it's becoming preferential lines. Morgan prefers the top. His nickname in real life, the Outside Outlaw, races in pavement and dirt racing action in various different short tracks across the United States. He is known for liking the top. He's trying that top, tried the bottom once again. Not able to make it work quite yet as there's still 1-2 up at the front. All while third, fourth, and fifth are also single followed out with different lines and different factors in that group as well.
Yeah, great race going on up front right now. Looks like the 0-0 might be a little bit tight for Kendall Tucker. He slides it up to the cushion on the exit of turn number 4. Devin Morgan tries the bottom. But right now, if both of these drivers finish where they're at right now, I know we're having a great race right now, but I cannot take my mind off the fact that Hayden Cardwell has lost connection to the server and will finish 19th in this race. It is literally going to bring 5 guys back into the championship hunt as we still work lap number 27 this time by, and Tucker's put about a 5-car length lead over the 112 of Devin Morgan.
Should note that Hayden Cardwell just came back on the racetrack chase this time by, and it does get him officially that 19th spot because Drew Hopkins pulled off the racetrack and being involved in one of the earlier incidents. So if anything was to happen that involves several cars, then he might have a bit of a shot to have a points recovery. We've seen it from several times from him before this season, though, in some of the LCQs and the mid-pack finishes. This is going to be the biggest challenge yet for him, all while the challenge is on for Edens to try and keep up with his teammate for P3 at the moment, along with Alex Bergeron and Devin Cardwell, who's having a stellar run.
Yeah, Devin Cardwell started 18th on the field. He currently runs up in the 6th spot in car number 70, and he is tracking down the 12 of Alex Bergeron. And want to note here that if you're a first-time viewer hearing Cardwell once again, this is Devin Cardwell, the cousin of Hayden Cardwell. And as far as I know, they do not live in the same household, so not on the same internet providers here. As Devin Cardwell looks to the inside of Alex Bergeron, he'll slide up in front of him and take over the 5th spot. So a fantastic run right now for that 70 car, and he might be one of the best cars on the speedway right now.
Yeah, he was very quick, remember, in the LCQ and trying really hard to try and advance from the heat. Just spent several times trying to fight. Give credit to it as well to J.D. Brown, who's holding on to P7 in front of his teammate, as well as one of its technical alliance members in the past few weeks with some of the work with Swindell Speed Labs in preparation on race nights and practice groupings. So these 3 cars looking very quick in this train right now. The downside is, though, in terms of the times, They're currently a little bit up and down, a couple tenths off Devin Cardwell, who's now caught up to 3rd and 4th up the road.
Yeah, Devin Cardwell was just 1/10 faster than your race leader, Kendall Tucker. So Cardwell, if he can get a caution here, he might have a challenge for the race lead. And if he can win this thing from 18th, if he's got t-shirts out there in real life, I will buy a Devin Cardwell t-shirt if he can win from 18th tonight. He's currently challenging right now with the 52 car of James Edens and the 44 Blake Cannon. Now Cardwell trying to roll the bottom down here in 1 and 2. I think his car's a little bit better on the top side. Up front though, checking on your race leaders, Kendall Tucker has about a 5-car length lead over the 112 of Devin Morgan.
Should note that a couple drivers have pulled off the racetrack. Joel Berkeley, Shane James have now pulled off the racetrack. They had been struggling towards the back of the field. Still, though, 16 cars on the lead lap. The lead separated by half a second. Tucker looking to try and hold on for the race of his life after having such great speed last week and coming so close several times in his career in both the sprint cars and the late models. Just about 16 laps or so to do it.
And I'm sure the nerves are up high right now for that 0-0 of Kendall Tucker, man. You just talked about it. He's been so close so many times, so many laps led, so many podiums, and so many failures for the 0-0. But can tonight be the night where the stars align and Kendall Tucker goes to victory lane for the first time in iRacing World Championship competition? Devin Morgan tries the bottom in 1 and 2, trying something different to track him down, but back behind him in 3rd. James Edens and Blake Cannon starting to go at it here a little bit for this 3rd spot with Devin Cardwell right there trying to get a 3-car race for the 3rd spot. Remember, we talk about it every single week, $100 to that 3rd place position if you can hang on the bottom step of the podium. James Edens trying to take away from his teammate Blake Cannon right now.
Edens trying to run the middle line once again, though here. That has been a trouble spot for Edens. Remember, he usually likes that bottom line against the berm, but Cannon's been able to stick it a little bit better on his preferences to be able to carry more momentum down the back straightaway, and especially in corner entry right here. The slick, especially 3 and 4, he's been able to carry a lot of speed up to the wall and keep the buffer about 3 car lengths down the back straightaway. Devin Cardwell's also hit a plateau. He's now even in terms of times. Alex Bergeron's also even in times. JD Brown is also even in times with these cars. It's going to come down if you want to try and take the last stop on the podium, as well as the last money-paying position. A mistake, Cannon nearly slapping the wall with one.
Waiting for the move out of James Edens. He's going to have to throw him a slider here. You see Blake Cannon. It's not going to happen down here in turn 3. Cannon kind of runs the bottom, then slides it up to the top of the racetrack. Here comes Devin Cardwell all over James Edens down the front straightaway. And I'm seeing a little bit of teamwork developing here as Berkeley and James, along with Ducharme, are starting to kind of go off the pace here and maybe allow Hayden Cardwell to pick up a few spots here in the last couple laps. He is 9 laps down, so maybe some teammates working together there to try and allow Cardwell to gain as many points as he can here in this feature.
Remember, James is a teammate of Hopkins, but hit one of the cars in some of the spins, remember, with Dylan Wilson. So his car was struggling in the first place. Joel Berkeley, that one was also a couple laps before that. Those positions about to go Cardwell's way in the next couple laps. Highest he can finish now with 9 to go is just P17 on the racetrack. As we've seen, though, Edens has fallen back, and Devin Cardwell is now trying to take home a podium.
Yeah, Devin Cardwell is absolutely on the hammer right now. Drove right by the 52 car James Edens like he was tied to a tree right there. And now all over the 44 car Blake Cannon. 7, making 8 laps to go this time by the stripe. And Cardwell from 18th up to 4th is putting on a show for the virtual fans in the virtual stands tonight at the Knoxville Raceway. Cardwell looking to the inside, turn 3, trying to get by the 44 car Blake Cannon. Not going to happen quite yet, but he pulls up alongside him off of turn number 4.
And this is where he's been better once he's got in his groove, right in the corner entry. That time hit a bit of the berm, loses him some momentum. Cannon back to his happy place along the top line. 6 to go this time by as Cardwell tries to reset once again. This is back side by side for the final podium spot in the final money-paying position near contact at the flag stand. Bit of a squeeze from Cardwell off the track.
Cardwell's going to throw a slider on him, but he's not going to get there. Cannon hits the fence. Cannon gets the wall right there. Car gets tight, he gets stuck in the wall, and Devin Cardwell takes over 3rd. From the 18th starting spot, he's up to the 3rd position. And Cardwell putting on an absolute show right now, and he starts to drive away from Blake Cannon, who's in 4th, James Edens 5th. And now he's got his hands full a little bit here with the 12 car of Alex Bergeron, as we are now in the bewitching hours of this one tonight at Knoxville. Kendall Tucker now with 4 laps to go as he crosses the line.
And Tucker has that advantage by ease, 1.2-ish seconds to Devin Morgan. This has been one of his best performing races all season. Clean race car, no trouble with traffic. Just a couple battles here and there to deal with in the back mirror, but he stayed calm, cool, and collected, and has been the best driver on the long run every single time tonight. In a great position, all while P4 is still up for grabs.
Yeah, Blake Cannon and James Eden still really racing hard right there for that 4th spot. They both run the top of the racetrack on the exit of turn number 2, make their way down the back straightaway, back into turn 3, run the bottom of the entry, slide their way up to the top of the guardrail here. Off of turn 4, Devin Cardwell hit the wall right there, but he's got a pretty good gap back to the 44 of Cannon. Up front of Kendall Tucker, out to a 1.1 second advantage. He makes his way through a couple lap traffic cars. Down to the white flag this time by for the 00 of Kendall Tucker.
Trying to make his way around Dylan Rafferty to lap him as the white flag is in hand. 1 lap to go at Knoxville Raceway. Tucker has put on the race of his season. No trouble spots from him, no major mistakes, a clean race car, and a fast pace throughout the night. Final set of corners for Kendall Tucker to get his first Pro Series victory in dirt action.
And off of turn number 4, it will happen. Finally, Kendall Tucker will get himself a victory here with the iRacing.com World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series. Kendall Tucker gets the job done here tonight for his first career victory for Swindell Speed Lab. Right behind him, Devin Morgan 2nd, Devin Cardwell 18th to 3rd, Blake Cannon 13th to 4th, James Eden's 5th, Alex Bergeron in 6th, 7th went to Adam Elby, 8th goes to Zach McSwain, 9th to Casey Kerwin, and 10th, unofficially, will go to the 18 car of Daniel Cummings Jr. But Kendall Tucker, man, I know this one is going to feel so good. He's been so close, and he finally tastes victory here tonight at Knoxville Raceway. There is the top 10 feature rundown right there. Tucker, Morgan, Cardwell, Cannon, Edens, Bergeron, Elby, McSwain, Kerwin, and Cummings Jr. 11th through 20th look like this. J.D. Brown, Dylan Hauser, Dylan Wilson 13th, Dylan Rafferty, how about the Dylans? Dylan Rafferty 14th, Evan C., Tyler Ducharme 16th, Hayden Cardwell, after dropping internet connection, comes to 17th there after he gets by Joel Berkeley and Shane James. They pull to the infield, and Drew Hopkins will be in the 20th spot. So I don't even know what to say, man. We have got to get the points calculated here and see what it's going to look like heading into Williams Grove next week. Because if it's close, if it's what we think it's going to be, JP, it's going to be must-watch television here.
Yeah, this is going to be absolutely insane. We were not expecting some of the stuff we've seen this evening with the contact, with some of the trouble spots. But you have to say one thing here, though, Chase. The race winner tonight, a lot of drivers in this field have a lot of respect for him, knowing his experience, knowing how hard it's been for him to get victories and how competitive he's been all throughout his World of Outlaws career on iRacing. Every single driver, just about all over the radio and through text, congratulating him immediately, saying a long time coming, especially for from Morgan, from Hayden Cardwell, from several others. This is a win that everybody is happy about, to say the very least, when it comes to Kendall Tucker.
Well, we'll see how happy Kendall Tucker is as we will move him here into the broadcast booth here in just a few moments. And he's in here now, Kendall Tucker, the winner tonight from the Knoxville Raceway. And I have been waiting a long, long time to say that. Kendall, you finally get the job done. Obviously, Hayden having issues there, probably not the way you wanted to win it, but I'm sure at this point you will take them any way you can get it. Great job tonight, man. $300 your way, and maybe, just maybe, bring yourself back into the championship fight.
And I appreciate it. We've been trying for a while to get one of these here, so I mean, everything just kind of fell into place tonight. We laid down a really good lap in qualifying, and I was able to win the heat and start up front. And we didn't mess around. We wanted to get to the front and control the pace. And I was glad to see that after that last restart, we went green the rest of the way, because the car was a lot better on the longer run. So I was just Devin. He wouldn't get away from me right there. I had to change my line 3 or 4 times right there, and he made it close. I mean, I didn't need to make a mistake, and was able to finally run a perfect race and get one of these pro wins. It's awesome.
How nervous were you there in those last couple of laps, the last half of the race, I should say? You've been so close so many times. It's been well documented how many times you have almost won a race here. Were you thinking, what's going to go wrong here at the end of this one? Am I going to get hit by a lap car? Am I going to lose internet connection? Is Devin Morgan going to put on a late race charge to get by me? Were all those scenarios running through your head there?
Honestly, I was just waiting for a caution to come out. It never fails. If I'm ever up front, a caution always seems to come out and get me. So just luckily, everybody was able to keep it clean and green, and we was able to get through lap traffic, and we had to change our lineup a little bit to get through there. But it was pretty smooth sailing for the most part. Just can't thank all the guys at Swindell Speed Lab and Slick Sim Sport. These last 2 weeks here have been awesome. Just glad to finally be back up front again, and hopefully we can keep that momentum up these next 2 weeks.
Speaking of the next 2 weeks, we go to Williams Grove next Monday night. That track is one of my favorites as an announcer and as an iRacing driver. That place is so tricky, and you've got to be able to run the bottom very well to be fast there. And the top is very tricky as well with how the guardrail is situated. How are you feeling about your confidence level going into that race, and how are you feeling about the championship? Obviously, the points have not updated quite yet, but you've got to be feeling really, really good about going into that one.
Yeah, I mean these next 2 weeks here, I mean they're going to be tough, just like the last 8 have been so far. So we're just going to keep preparing the way we've prepared. We've got some momentum on our side here this second half of the season. So we'll just throw everything we got at the setups this week, and hopefully come up with one bad fast machine, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again next week.
Kendall Tucker is a winner finally with the World Championship Series tonight at Knoxville Raceway, the 00 car. And in second here tonight, another fantastic run for this driver. It's Devin Morgan in the car number 112. We will move him here in the broadcast booth. He will have a word with Justin Prince.
We was trying to talk a little bit with Devin Cardwell after some of the performances tonight for Devin Morgan, his best finish on the season. Devin, how are you feeling after tonight in a hard-fought race up the front?
I'm feeling really good. This race was, marked on the schedule for me. I knew I'd be pretty good here. These bigger tracks I seem to have a lot of speed at. I'm looking forward to the next 2 races. Hopefully, some luck like the night can fall my way again, and I have another solid run. The last 2 races, I might have this puts me a lot closer back in the championship battle. So, I'm definitely feeling pumped.
Yeah, speaking of that, with the craziness of what happened with Cardwell and Wilson, it was talked about or alluded to a little bit by Christopher Leone in the pre-race preview on the iRacing website today that anything that was happening to those 2 drivers would allow you, Tucker, and C back into the fight. You're back into the fight essentially now after tonight. What's your approach now for the final 2 races?
Just be consistent like I have on the big tracks. I struggled on the small tracks. I just, I got to get better on them. If I want a better chance at the championship, I really kind of put myself behind the 8 ball with the small tracks. But, from here forward, I think I just got to be consistent. And, of course, I got to outrun Kendall and the other 2. Straight up if they don't get crashed, and I got to finish up far enough in front of them that I get the points that I need.
Thank you very much for the time, Devin. Congratulations on your best finish of the season.
Thank you.
That's Devin Morgan coming home in second tonight. That's a +4 from his starting position chase.
Yeah, great run for him. I was sitting here trying to calculate the points. Obviously, we know how bad I am at math, so I don't want to give any official results here, but things look like they're getting pretty tight as we get to talk to our 3rd place finisher here tonight, and that is Devin Cardwell, the cousin to Hayden Cardwell, 18th up to 3rd for the number 70 car tonight. Devin, a fantastic run for you, man, and I think if a caution came out late in that race, you might have had a shot at the race win there.
Oh yeah, that was surprisingly. I don't know how I made it to the front without getting any damage there, but I would have definitely loved to see a yellow. But I'll take 3rd. It was a good night all in all.
Well, no doubt about it. Have you been able to talk? Can you give us any insider information here? Have you been able to talk in this short amount of time to Hayden Cardwell to see what exactly happened there with his internet connection, or what exactly happened?
Not yet, but I'm gonna talk to him and see what maybe what happened. But yeah, it's tough for him, but we'll take it.
Yeah, great run, man, and your car looked so good. Are you going to be using the same setup you ran tonight, possibly at Williams Grove and at Charlotte? And do you think you might have the speed after tonight here on these big half miles to maybe grab a win at Williams Grove or Charlotte in the next 2 weeks?
Oh yeah, it definitely boosts our confidence up, but I think Charlotte might be the place. The Grove is going to be pretty hard.
Well, Devin Cardwell, 18th up to 3rd, put on a great show here for us tonight in that number 70 car. And Justin, that is it for the interviews, and we're about to wrap things up here, man. But I need you to talk a little bit here so I can get the calculator out. But another great race, and I cannot wait for Williams Grove. I talked to Kendall Tucker about it right there. It's my favorite race for these World Championship Series events as an announcer. I think it puts on a great show every time.
I think it's going to be a fun race as well, but the pressure is going to be absolutely on for that race. I think there's going to be a lot of chances for passes and slide jobs, absolutely. But with the implications now after tonight, the championship is likely blown wide open. The question is going to be, how will everything be officially once everything's tabulated, once everything's gone through race control and the stewards? That's going to be important. I think it's going to be a very, very, very tight run to the chapter flag at the end of the season, because we've talked about it all season, Chase. It's been unpredictable from start to finish, and it just got even more unpredictable for how the final 2 rounds will go.
Oh, it's blown wide open. I just did the calculations. I'm not going to say anything because I don't want it to be wrong and everybody get mad at me. But here is a look at the schedule here coming up. We've got Williams Grove next Monday night on August 17th, and we cap it all off at the dirt track at Charlotte Motor Speedway on August 24th. And after that night, we will crown a champion, and somebody will go home with $10,000 at the end of that one. It's going to be exciting, ladies and gentlemen. Next week is going to be can't-miss television here on the iRacing Esports Network when the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series heads to the Williams Grove Speedway in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania for the penultimate round of the 2020 campaign. We can't wait to see you there. For Justin Prince and Arjuna Kankipani, my name is Chase Rodman. We'll see you guys next Monday night at the Williams Grove Speedway.
And you guys are clear.
Wowzers.
Are we clear from
Yep.
behind the scenes?
Oh, good point. Thank you for reminding me.